Good evening. The City Council meeting for November 14th will come to order. Please rise and please repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oral communications. Members of the audience are invited to address the City Council on any item on this agenda or not on this agenda. Public comment will not be taken during each individual agenda item, except for public hearing items. Comments on public hearing items will be heard when that item is scheduled for discussion. Under the provision of the Brown Act, the legislative body is prohibited from engaging in discussions on any item not appearing on the posted agenda. However, your concerns may be referred to staff or set for a discussion at a later date. Each speaker will be limited to speaking once for up to 3 minutes. Madam Clerk, do we have any speaker cards?
Yes, Mayor. The first speaker is Raymond Foster.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, city staff, and members of the audience. I want to give you a couple of updates. First off, we held our third annual Marine Corps dinner on Friday the 10th. And let me first thank Mayor Badar, City Manager Chris Considine, and Captain Ash for your attendance at the event. There were 95 people in attendance, including a state senator, 2 state senators age from different districts, 2 mayors, 3 city council people, 5 people from other elected community boards, but most importantly, more than 15 presidents from local community groups. And we were targeting to raise $8,000. We raised just about $9,000, so we sent that 8 off today. It was very successful. We had a great time. About 20, 25 veterans were there also. 2026 committee. The website is up, but we're going to be putting content on the next 2 weeks, so it'll be a place to go. Sandimas2026.com for information about the 4th of July celebration, the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, which will be in 2026. On January 24th, the 2026 committee is hosting the Chamber Mixer. So we're going to be sending out flyers to a lot of community people, trying to get a lot of people this mixer. What we need is community involvement. We need more people to get on the committee and get working with us so we can get some planning going and we can plan a great celebration. We got to fundraise for it, plan it, organize it, the whole thing. So that'll be really kind of our kickoff thing, and I hope to see everybody there. It'll be at High Point Brew Company on Arrow Highway, the 24th of January, and that'll be in the evening. Rotary has some stuff going on, by the way. I'm the president of the Rotary Foundation for a while. This month, we're working on TLC, Teen Leadership Camp. For about 25 years, we've sent 2 middle schoolers to Teen Leadership Camp, and so we've selected 2, and that jumps off in December. We are in the middle of our teacher mini grant drive, which we're getting the applications in now. And not only do we include Bonita Unified School District, but we always include Holy Name of Mary, McKinley, LPU, and Camp Rocky Glen. So they all submit applications for mini grants up to $500. Lastly, the San Dimas Rotary Club received international recognition. There are 32,000 Rotary clubs with 1.4 million members in the world. 32,000 clubs. Our club is in the top 3% for growth in the last 2 years. And so we got recognition from international. They want to know how we did it, and we're telling them we just got good people signing up. So that's it. Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Dana Howard, Deputy Director with California Conservation Corps.
Good evening. Hello, I'm Dana Howard. I am with the California Conservation Corps. I'm Deputy Director over Communications, Outreach, Recruitment, and Enrollment statewide. Thank you for allowing me to just speak with you for a few moments tonight. I came here because we operate 25 centers across the state. We are not a nonprofit. We are not a company. We are a state of California government workforce development program. So the governor is our boss. We have a center here nearby here in Pomona, and that center has immediate openings for women to do wildland firefighting and forestry, and as well for individuals who are needing to finish their high school diploma. We are not an at-risk program. About 25% of our core members have attended college or have a four-year degree. About 65% have completed high school, but we do offer the ability for young adults to be able to complete their high school diploma, all while they are getting paid $32,000 a year to be able to get their paid training or finish their high school diploma. We especially have room at our Pomona Center now for individuals who need to complete their diploma, women who want to do wildland firefighting or forestry. I come here to you to see if there is anything at all within your purview that you are able to do to help us get the word out. We do a lot of advertising. We spend a lot of money on advertising on social media and in the community, but that doesn't mean a hill of beans unless we have trusted voices like yourselves opening doors for us to be able to make sure that the individuals who I just was describing to you have the opportunity to get this really great benefit. In addition to the paid training, they also receive $8,000 in scholarship that they can use. The enrollment period is about a year. It takes about a year and a half to get themselves with all the minimum qualifications to be employed by, for instance, CAL FIRE, Caltrans, even the California Conservation Corps. And so my reason for being here tonight again is that I'm hoping that within your own departments, with your own units, you might be able to reach back out to the California Conservation Corps, me in particular, because I oversee recruitment and enrollment statewide, to see if there's a way that we can open up more doors for your residents here in the city of San Dimas. I have 21 seconds left, so if anyone does have a question, I'm happy to answer that right off the bat. My phone number and card is in the package, the folder that was handed out to you earlier this evening.
Mr. Mayor, I happen to have worked with Mr. Howard in the past, and I would just ask if he needs anything else to say, we would extend his time. He's traveled quite a ways to be here.
Absolutely. It's not often someone comes in with such a good project for local people, kids to get their formal education done, giving people jobs. It's pretty good. So if you got something additional you want to sell us on, you sold us.
Well, excellent. I'm glad to hear that. So just real quick as well, we also have residential program. So the center here at Pomona is what's called a non-residential center, meaning that the core members, they keep their existing housing and they go here to get their training. That center is partnered with CAL FIRE. So that means that when they get their training, they immediately go have a pathway, I should say. It's not guaranteed, but they have a pathway to employment with CAL FIRE. As well, that particular center has a forestry corps program, and forestry is one of the big areas right now, focus of the state of California to help reduce the threat of wildland fires, which here in San Dimas, I know that you are really aware of. And so they get the skills and the training to become forestry techs, and as well, can end up working in a direct pathway with forestry companies such as Mowbray or Davy Tree, Mountain Enterprises, big companies that have really high-paying, meaningful careers. And there simply are not enough women who are looking at this opportunity to say, yes, I can do this too. And that's what we want to make sure that we get the word out about. Some of the things that we have worked with other cities on is working through their housing authority or their housing departments, especially if you are providing some subsidized housing and people have to apply for the program. Our literature and our information can be included in there, and some are even looking at how that they can incentivize people to enroll in the program and give them an incentive to do so, especially for those individuals who are lower income, and knowing that that training through the CCC can lead to a very high-paying career. So I If I can arrange another time to sit down and talk with you more in depth about this, or whichever departments within the city of San Dimas that you believe would be the most appropriate, I am more than willing to come back down from Sacramento again, deal with that 210 freeway, and make sure that everyone has full information and knowledge about these, what we believe are life-transforming benefits that the CCC can offer young adults. All right. All right.
Have
Thank
a
you.
good trip back home.
All righty. Thank you.
Those were all the speaker cards, Mayor.
Anyone else wishing to speak to the council at this time? We'll move on to the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and to be enacted by one motion unless a member of the city council requests a separate discussion.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 5-0. Next thing we'll move on to is public hearing items. Discussion, consideration, and approval of proposed solid waste rate adjustment and adoption of resolution 2023-69. Lauren Marshall? Hi, Lauren.
Is Lauren Marshall, Senior Management Analyst for the Public Works Department. And the item before you this evening is our annual waste management rate adjustment that would take effect for 2024, and this was set by the City Council on September 12th, 2023. There we go. The proposed 2024 rates per the franchise agreement between Waste Management and the City of San Dimas is based on two components. One, the ratio of Consumer Price Index, or the CPI, and two, the disposal component based on landfill and disposal costs. The CPI information was obtained from the United States Department of Labor Bureau of Labor Statistics. The disposal component is based upon the actual increase in disposal costs for each of the disposal or transfer facilities used and weighted based upon the percentage of waste disposed at each landfill facility monthly. The requested rate increase for the residential and commercial bin services is 4.7%, and if approved, would take effect January 1st, 2024, and is shown in the table above. To validate both the residential and commercial rate adjustments proposed, the city contracted HF&H Consulting to conduct an analysis of the contractual compliance of the calculations, the mathematical accuracy of the calculations, and a comparison to industry benchmarks in other similar jurisdictions. HF&H concluded the calculations were conducted in accordance with the agreement and were mathematically accurate. In addition, HF&H and staff research indicates the rate proposal has been negotiated to be reflective of Waste Management's costs of providing their service and proportional as between different ratepayer categories as required by Prop 218. If council approves the proposed rate increase this evening, the standard residential curbside collection cost for a 64-gallon bin, so the standard size, would increase from the current monthly price of $36.50 to $38.22 in 2024. Also included on this slide are the rates for the senior discount, which you did see at the September 12th hearing, and the standard service there would go up about $1.22 a month. There are many more options for commercial and industrial customers for bin sizes and number of weekly pickups, but as an example, for a 3-yard bin collected once per week, the monthly bill would increase from the base rate of $210.75 to $220.66 per month in 2024. All these rates are detailed in the agenda report attachment, and the proposed adjustment of 4.7% applies to all properties, residential, multifamily, and commercial in the city, and include the CPI adjustment and the disposal component cost increase due to factors such as the mandatory organics implementation, gate fees, and transportation. As the City Council may recall, now that organic waste is the most expensive waste stream to process, the additional cost for an additional green bin went up to $7 instead of being free last year, or effective this year. And that was staggered, so now you'll see it go up to $14 per month beginning January 1st, 2024, if the rates are approved. And finally, as I mentioned before, beginning July of 2023, after 2 warnings, residents who are found to have missorted their recycling or organics containers will be assessed a $20 fee. This fee will remain the same for 2024 and not only meets CalRecycle's requirements that the city demonstrate enforcement and education, but also pays for the equipment and personnel to monitor the video footage on the trucks. As a reminder to the City Council, the state does require the enforcement of not only commercial and multifamily customers, but in 2024, that will also include all residential customers. On this slide is the you saw this last time, is the Prop 218 process, the steps that we followed per the 218 requirements. And within the staff report is a recommendation that the council approve a 5-year rate adjustment without doing the full Prop 218 mailing and noticing. This proposed 5-year rate adjustment method is allowed through the Prop 218 process and allows for an annual inflationary increase without requiring the full mailing notification and majority protest process. While the public hearing is required to set the rates, a maximum annual inflationary schedule can be applied to the rates without triggering the full Prop 218 process. It is recommended tonight that the City Council adopt a maximum rate formula for such annual adjustments pursuant to Section 53756 of the Government Code. However, doing this maximum rate formula would be for a maximum period of 5 years. So that would be beginning January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2029. After the 5-year period, any further rate adjustment must go through the Prop 218 process, specifically meaning the full mailing to all parcels in the city. For this year, the cost of the 218 public noticing citywide and the newspaper notices advertised twice during the 45-day period was $17,568. In all cases, the annual rate adjustments will be brought before the City Council for a public hearing to review each year. If the proposed rate increase is greater than 5%, then the public hearing process will also include the citywide Prop 218 mailing, but it will always go before the City Council for approval. Should the City Council choose to do this, the city stands to save over $60,000 by avoiding this mailing for the years 2 through 5, so 2025 through 2029. Furthermore, Waste Management will continue to provide notice of annual rate adjustments to all solid waste customers at least 30 days prior to the effective date of January 1st each year. And this is the slide that shows what we would bypass. So we wouldn't have to do the mailing. We'd still set the public hearing. There would still be the vote of the City Council at a public hearing to approve the annual rates. And then if approved, they would be effective January 1st of the following year. So in conclusion, city staff recommends that the City Council open the public hearing as required by Proposition 218, take public testimony and accept any additional written protests, close the public hearing, and the mayor shall ask the city clerk to provide account of all written protests received, and provided there is no majority protest, which is 50% plus one of all parcels in the city, against the proposed rate adjustment, consider all evidence and testimony presented and adopt resolution number 2023-69, which would adopt solid waste rates to be effective January 1st, 2024, through December 31st, 2024, including a 5-year adjustment methodology without the full Prop 218 notification process if the annual CPI does not exceed 5%. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Any questions? Any questions of Lauren?
Thanks a lot for the report, Lauren. And just one question on that, no 218 hearing required in the years for the 5 years you're talking about, if the rates, the proposed rate isn't over 5%. So is that the state law? Is that why it's that, or how does that 5%?
It's in the Prop 218 I guess, rules.
in the rules for that. Okay, that's all I needed to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further questions? At this time, I'll open up the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to this matter, could you come up to the podium and voice your concerns?
Hello, members of this council, Mr. Mayor. I'm Ruth Louvan. I am a resident of this community, and I have been for over 20 years. Although I'm not here to lodge a formal protest, that, of course, would not be wise considering the times upon which we live in and the necessity of having to raise rates. I do ask you right now at this moment to exercise just a little bit of understanding, given A, the fact that we live in a time in which people are suffering extreme times of inflation, extreme impact to their wallets. B, we have now increased rates, not only to parking, to fees, of which residents, some of us who are going to be impacted the most, those whose wallets will be hit the hardest here in the city of San Dimas. Fees which will be levied upon us by our cities, but also upon waste management. And now C, the fact that the money in our wallets will not be raising. Although this increase might be necessary, I ask you to reflect upon yourselves what things in the future may not be necessary. Because we of the city of San Dimas can only carry ourselves so far to help you get to where you need to be. We need you to help carry us the rest of the way. That's why you sit where you sit. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to the council at this time? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and ask the clerk to provide a count of all written protests received.
Mayor, there were 5 written protests received in the city clerk's office.
Thank you. It's a little short of 50% plus 1. Okay. Council, I'll bring it back to council. Anyone wishing to speak to this matter?
Well, go ahead, Eric. No,
I was just going to say very quickly, I understand, especially in light of the recent comments in regards to our parking fee increases, and in general about our fee increases in general that have transpired over the past few months. Absolutely understand the fiscal impacts that it does have across the community. I just pointed it out throughout that conversation I was having with members of the public on social media, and figured it would be worth pointing out now with this particular rate increase that these decisions are not made lightly for us. I think, especially when it comes to refuse and hauling and the different changes to state law that have changed the way waste management has to process garbage, it is an inevitability that that fees are going to increase. It is a crucial service that we have to maintain in the city. The one thing that I fear the most when it comes to budgetary constraints is failing to take action to increase rates to services that the city provides, whether it be trash contracts or otherwise, to the point that we have to cut services that the city may not need to survive, but still enjoys very much. Things like the downtown Christmas extravaganza that the city puts on. It's such a well-received event, and I know the community enjoys events like that and others. And unfortunately, as you look at at city budgets and the way things get tighter and tighter in other cities, those are the first things that generally go. And I know we as a community, and I think we as a council support those events. We love those events, and we see the community turn out at those types of activities. And it would be very sad to not take action and to see events like those go. So again, completely understand. I hate coming back time and time again for fee increases, especially now. It seems like we've had a lot just as we visit the budget and try to ensure that the city is on solid footing for many years to come. But it is a necessary thing, and it's not something we take lightly. So I appreciate everybody's understanding of the community, and if there's any concern or feedback that you have for the council, I'm definitely all ears and here to listen. So thank you.
Any further?
Yeah, I'll just echo those comments, and I appreciate those comments, Mrs. Louvain, and I think that I understood you're not necessarily protesting this matter, but others that we may look at down the road. As recent as the study session this evening, we were talking about an audit the city has received related to performance. And, I am happy to say that the city in the last 12 months has really looked to make sure that applicants, by way of example, are paying their fair share of fees that the city previously subsidized and otherwise would be subsidized by the taxpayers. And so I think the council and the city have worked really to try to rebalance equity as it relates to that and make sure that, people who are singularly benefiting from something are paying accordingly, while we invest, the funds from everyone in other ways that are meaningful to benefit everybody across the board. So you have my commitment to bear that in mind as we move forward. And the younger first-term me would have voted no on this because I know the votes are here to carry it forward. But unfortunately, the truth is that, learning and becoming more wise to the city and what it takes to run the city and these services, really has furthered my understanding of what we need to do to keep this city helping carry everyone, as you said, forward and keeping these meaningful programs and all the things that people love about our town. So, I really don't want to be the guy to make the motion, but I'll do it if I have to. No, wait. I'm going to make the motion because you last time said if it's an increase, you have to do it. And I'm going to do it this time because I'm going to say I did it. So I move we approve this as proposed.
And I'll second it.
All right.
Any additional questions of Lauren? Hearing none, we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 5-0.
Can I make just one quick comment, Mayor?
No. Okay, go ahead.
That's fine. It is quick. Just echoing and agreeing with both Eric and Ryan, and I think the whole council is aware of that. The recent fee increases had a lot of increases that not all of us agreed with. So we're aware of that and working to minimize that if possible. That's all.
Thank you. Eric? Anything? Thank you. We'll move on to oral communications. Members of the audience, speakers are limited to 3 minutes and or as may be determined by the chair. Any additional speaker cards or anyone wishing to speak to the council at this time? Seeing none, I see people standing up, but they're moving to the back of the building. So I'm assuming they don't want to speak to the council at this time. Thank you very much for coming. City reports. City manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a slightly longer report. There's a moderate rainstorm moving in starting Wednesday and running through Saturday. So while we don't predict having issues, our crews have been ensuring the storm drains are clear. Sandbags and sand are available at the city's yard located on Walnut. You just need to bring your shovel to load up those bags. On Thursday, it's going to actually be a very big night. The Planning Commission will be presented with the draft downtown specific plan that is currently published on our website. The plan plus the agenda are 197 pages. This is a document that would be fundamental and define the downtown core for decades. So I look forward to the discussions and comments from the public and the commission with regards to that plan Thursday, and then its eventual discussion with the public and the council subsequent to that meeting. In terms of overnight parking enforcement, good news, we're putting a moratorium on parking enforcement for the overnight parking starting this past Saturday, November 18th at 2 a.m. and going through Monday, November 27th. So enforcement will start again on Tuesday, the 28th at 2 a.m. to allow students that are coming in or those that are celebrating the holidays to be able to park on our city streets and not have worry of being cited because they're here. In terms of our recreational fields, we did receive some inquiries and complaints about how we're allocating our fields. City staff is currently evaluating those inquiries and complaints that had recently come in terms of how we allocate the fields, but also recognizing that the council a year ago passed a new field allocation policy. I've asked the city's park and recreation director to do a program review and to take a look at the field allocation policy with a view of maximizing the use of all our assets, both ours as well as Bonita Unified's that we have a joint partnership with a focus with maximizing its use by our youth and youth organizations. We know that both in San Dimas and Laverne, so the whole Bonita Unified District has very limited fields and an oversubscribed amount of demand. And so making sure that we make any tweaks necessary to maximize those use for our kids, I think would be beneficial for all of us, both cities and the school district itself. If you traveled down the downtown the last few weeks, you probably noticed a slightly larger amount of graffiti in the downtown. It's not something we're proud of in any community. We actually pride ourselves that when graffiti goes up, we're able to knock it out very quickly. I joked the last time we implemented My San Dimas, the mayor and I reported something within an hour and a half it was actually taken down, which was pretty remarkable. So we do a really good job at actually tackling that. However, this isn't the first time we've seen an uptick on graffiti, specifically what looks to be gang graffiti that has occurred in the past. And so we're working with the sheriff's department. We're doing an analysis in terms of where the graffiti is happening, how is it happening, locations, and are strategizing on how to best tackle the problem. You can't eliminate somebody who decides to write and deface on property, but we'll do the best that we can to try to tackle that. So we wanted the community to know that this is not gone unnoticed and that we are, just like the last time, looking at ways to tackle that to stem its flow. However, I want to compliment our contractor, Urban Graffiti, who's done a remarkable job on taking out graffiti and who also pick up errant shopping carts that are found throughout our community. Lastly, if you were outside today, you probably noticed an odd smell. That smell for me was reminiscent of the campfire when I was up in the Butte County area when Paradise burned. The fire department had done a prescribed burn in Pudding Stone in Benelli Park. It was something that they advertised, and it had obviously had an impact in terms of smell and haze in the sky. It does help in reducing the risk of wildfires in our high-risk areas like the park. Two, it also offers the fire department an opportunity to train to be able to tackle those wildfires. And knowing that they're practicing those skills in our community in an area that has a high fire risk gives me a little bit more confidence that they're ready to go to be able to tackle those fires. We do apologize and appreciate the concerns that we've received from the community regarding the smell. The fire department is its own independent agency, and so we both advertised that this was occurring, but unfortunately you can't eliminate the complete smell and haze that goes up. That should go away very quickly over the course of the next day. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I will turn it back to you.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney?
I just want to let the council know that tomorrow at 5 p.m. at the Senior Center, Mr. Constantine, myself, and City Clerk Mrs. Black will be conducting the boards, commissions, and committees training for the commission members of the city to go over roles and responsibilities and procedures in the Brown Act and the Public Records Act. That's as a direct result of the council's desire that the commissioners in the city undertake that training that the council has to undertake. So that's going to be tomorrow.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'd like to give an election update.
Please.
Just wanted to remind the community that the nomination period opened yesterday, Monday, the 13th. It runs through December 13th. Appointments are required to pull nomination papers as well as to file nomination papers. Updates on potential candidate processes, or in other words, candidates who have pulled or submitted nomination paperwork, can be found on the city's website. There is a link named Election Bulletins that will contain information on the individuals who have pulled papers, when they pulled papers, when they've returned and filed papers, as well as any other information that we deem appropriate to announce and share with the public on those election bulletin documents. As of today, there has been one potential candidate that has pulled papers. That's all I have.
Thank you. Members of the City Council, council members' reports on meetings attended at the expense of the local agency pursuant to AB 1234, GC 5325 through 2323-D. Anybody? I didn't think anybody. Okay.
Can you say that number again? Maybe I didn't.
Well, let me repeat this again. Let me repeat. City Council requests for future items, comments, or updates. We'll start with Mr. Nakano. No comment, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Mr. Weber.
One quick thing, and that's that I wanted to highlight in lieu of, or in light of the city manager's comment about graffiti popping up in that downtown area. I wanted to highlight an arrest that the San Dimas Sheriff's Station made a couple of nights ago that was featured on their social media page. I think it goes a long way in combating things like gang-related graffiti in our city. And undoubtedly, these are the type of people that are responsible for it, and I think it was a fantastic observation by our deputies and a fantastic arrest. So I'll just read through it really quickly. This is straight off of the San Dimas Sheriff Station Facebook page, and that was: a few nights ago, deputies observed a vehicle speeding through a shopping center in San Dimas. They observed what appeared to be a tarp on the vehicle's rear window, obstructing the view of any drivers or occupants. That's kind of a clue. They stopped the vehicle to ascertain further about the above violations. They recognized the driver to be an active member of San Dimas Rifa Street Gang, along with being on active parole. That's another clue. And then doing a parole search of the vehicle, they recovered drugs and counterfeit U.S. currency. They were arrested for sales of drugs, transportation for sales, and possession of counterfeit currency. So while we certainly have seen an uptick in that graffiti lately, and I know I was stopping by a local business with Councilmember Vienna the other day, and we noticed some of it that had popped up along Arrow Highway there, and was a little dismayed by it. But again, we jumped on it fairly quickly, I think, and I know that our deputies are out there looking for people like that individual that was arrested the other day that are responsible for these sorts of things. So I just wanted to say thank you for the report on that, and thank you to our sheriff's deputies for all the work they do in helping us keep that stuff at bay.
Thank you. John?
Briefly, thank you, Chris and Eric, for the update on the downtown graffiti. So appreciate that, and I've got some calls and, of course, noticed it. And the other things have actually been covered. Downtown specific plan is what I wanted to mention. So just to repeat, that's this Thursday, a couple days from now, 7 p.m. And there is a lot of information on the San Dimas website, sandimasca.gov/DTSP, as in Downtown Specific Plan. And thank you, Deborah, for the filing period, the election information, a lot of information on the website. And I understand from talking to staff that some social media posts will also be going out about that, so everybody should be aware of that. And then I also, for both of those latter items, there are direct links to those pages on my website, johnebner.com, if you want a really quick way of getting there. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Ryan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's been a little bit since our last council meeting, so I just wanted to highlight a couple things that have occurred since then. Not this past Monday, but the Monday before, Councilmember Weber and I played, and as well as Chris and Brad and the mayor had stopped by in the San Dimas Sheriff Station's golf tournament and benefiting their boosters and their organization. Very well done at Via Verde. Appreciate you keeping that in the city. And as always, the comments are always great from everyone that comes to support us out here. So my boss actually won an award for his score. We'll have to show you his medal later and have that conversation, but very well done and a lot of fun. Also, since that time, we had the Veterans Day just pass, and so the Veterans Day ceremony that San Dimas Heroes put on was fantastic. Councilmember Nakano, the mayor, and Councilmember Ebner were there. Councilmember Weber gets a pass being a veteran, but he was on a commitment with family, and we did acknowledge you there. But also, not only is that a great opportunity and event for the community to get together, but it's also a unique opportunity for us to really take time to look at how many veterans have come from this community. It is amazing when you look at how many names in 10 years. It was a 10-year anniversary of the Freedom Park San Dimas Heroes Monument. And it's a lot of names. And we're probably going to have a lot more names, I would guess. And within the next 5 years, I think we'll exceed all of the panels that we have there. So I suspect there will be a partnership and a project perhaps in the near future to start those discussions. But one thing at that event was Mr. Gary Anderle announced after 10 years he will be passing the torch as the president of the San Dimas Heroes organization. And so after a decade of leadership and being one of the co-founders to establish that, he's since going to be passing the torch. So I do hope that council might consider a recognition of Mr. Anderle for his decade of leadership that led to the establishment of that monument. And perhaps that's something we could formally do as a recognition if anyone else was doing that, interested in that.
I'd be in favor of that.
Okay. All right, cool. So, yeah. So to that end, is there anything else for staff as it relates to that particular initiative? Okay. Also, last night, there was a San Dimas Bonita Unified School District ad hoc committee meeting. And so those are always good meetings. The city's done them for many moons, and a good time to have dialogue regarding our collective interests as it relates to both student body as well as other things like the Sportsplex, other things like our parks, and some of the things that have been mentioned earlier today, as our school district representatives and staff have also heard about some of our field use policy concerns, and the city is in fact working through that. But it's very unique, and it's important for everyone to understand that there are monetary commitments both between the city and the school district as it relates to all of these initiatives. So I greatly appreciate the school board members, the superintendent, and the staff coming to the table to be able to talk about a lot of things that we can work together on to continue to support our young people here in the community and mutually support each other. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is obviously the rain's coming. I hope everybody is responsible in doing what they need to do. But I have to tell you, as the representative to the San Gabriel Vector and Mosquito Control District, after all this water dumps, please toss all your standing water, get rid of the mosquitoes. They're brutal. I don't know if you've been bit. I certainly have. I seem to be a magnet for them. But the best thing you can do after any rain is get rid of the standing water, tip it. And the last thing is, I had the opportunity to scuba dive, as many of you know, I'm a scuba diver, to scuba dive with some residents from San Dimas over the weekend. And, you know, stormwater, when you have rains, is one thing, but I really do appreciate people taking time to not dump things that shouldn't be going into stormwater drains that go out to the ocean. There's been a huge effort in the state as well as in communities and the Coastal Commission to establish marine protected areas all along the coast. And while it seems like we're a ways away from the beach, it's really fascinating to see a lot of things happening in the ocean. And some of those things are really good indicators of efforts done inland. And some of those things either have to deal with recapturing water or not putting things down the drains or not overfishing and things of that nature. So I just wanted to say, you know, thank you for everybody for doing their part not to dump things down the stormwater system that shouldn't belong there, that ultimately would end up at the beach or otherwise creating some sort of obstruction that has to be cleared when we start having these rains. And to that end, I know I'll say thank you, and I know staff's already on it, but thank you to Public Works and everyone for getting on top of preparing for the rain event, as I know you guys will be doing here this week. Thank you, and have a good week.
Just to talk about the Veterans Memorial, the Heroes Monument, one of the things that was pretty fascinating is we had the opportunity to acknowledge and meet Miles Shepard, who was a former U.S. Army member in the Army Air Corps. And the fascinating part about that was Mr. Shepard turned 100 in the last couple of months. And he was there, he was ready to go, ready to stand at attention, and a pretty spry guy. And he was very appreciative that the Heroes program acknowledged him. And it was 100 years, and he was the only person there that was a World War II veteran. So I just want to say thank you to the Heroes for bringing people like that forward and letting the community know and have a chance to acknowledge them. I know you might notice that I've got pretty much of a sore throat. I've had two or three meetings in the last few days where I did more than my fair share of talking, and it's kind of caught to my throat. And so I sat down the last few days and wrote down some thoughts in an open letter to the city, to the San Dimas community. Because my voice is raspy and I would like this to be very, very clear, I have asked Mayor Pro Tem Ryan Viena to read this letter from me to the community.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Beat the Bruins. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not your, I was getting ahead of myself there. That's not your letter, that's mine. All right, open letter to San Dimas community. I am speaking today not just as your mayor, but as a fellow member of our vibrant community. In instances of hate and violence targeted at individuals based on their race, ethnicity, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or any other protected characteristic have been occurring across the world. I wanted to take this opportunity to unequivocally denounce these acts of hatred and violence. San Dimas is a community built on the principles of respect. Our strength lies in our ability to embrace the differences that make each of us unique. Any act of hate or violence against anyone based on any aspect of their identity is not only an attack on the individual, but an attack on the values that form the very fabric of our society. I stand firmly against any form of discrimination and violence. I urge each one of you to join me in this stance. We must not only speak out against hate, but also ensure that our actions reflect our commitment to an inclusive, safe, and respectful community. It is our collective responsibility to support those who are vulnerable and to educate ourselves and others about the importance of diversity and acceptance. The city of San Dimas is dedicated to promoting an environment where everyone feels safe and valued. We will ensure that any incidents of hate or violence are met with the full force of the law and that we provide support to those affected. In these challenging times, let us come together to show the true spirit of San Dimas, a community where everyone, regardless of their background, can live without fear of persecution. Let us show the world that hate has no place in our city. Together, we can build a future that is free from hate and violence, a future that we can all be proud of. Sincerely, Emmett G. Badar, Mayor of San Dimas, California.
Thank you, Ryan. At this time, we will be going into a closed session to discuss one item on the agenda, which is a conference with real property negotiators. We'll move into closed session, and the property is at 1525 Sycamore Canyon Road, San Dimas, California. Agency negotiators, Chris Constantine, City Manager, Scott Wasserman, Parks, Recreation, and Jeff Molly, City Attorney. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.